Hello, friends. Let's talk about the third and final episode of this week from the Amazon All or Nothing series for Tottenham Hotspur. Again, disclaimer, spoiler warning. If you have not seen the first three episodes, go back and watch them. I've released the first two episodes, so go back and watch those first before you come here. Easy. Let's go. Let's get into it. Okay, we start off with a weird story about how Deli ran into Kyle's car. Which, like, there's nothing else to that. It's just like, Deli ran into my car, and it was a really funny moment between Kyle and Deli. I really like Kyle. The Christmas videos with Yan and stuff, hilarious. I just thought it was a funny thing to point out. Um, Interesting how they skipped over the Manchester United result and were focusing more on Jose Mourinho's alliance to Chelsea and not as much to Manchester United. There seems to be some kind of resentment towards Manchester United from Jose that was alluded to, and there isn't much about Manchester United. I've heard there's a filming complication, like they weren't allowed to film at Old Trafford or something. Interesting. Yeah, that result was kind of big in my eyes, but then again, there's also the Chelsea result, and you need to move this series along. So there's a lot to get through. I thought one of the coolest moments of the series thus far was Kane being like, wait, I need to talk about this. I need to talk about the Manchester United mentality shift. It must be so frustrating to be Kane because you see your defenders getting freaked out, getting scared, losing confidence, not putting in the shift that you're putting in up top. And it must be so frustrating because he's like, this happens every match. This happens every big match. We just lose it. We lose our confidence. And I need to speak up like the little tattletale that I am and just say outright and bluntly, we're not being good enough. We're not performing. That is such a cool moment that I love to see from Kane. It felt very honest, and it felt like something he needed to say. It felt like something he's wanted to say for a while. Yeah, on that note, it kind of felt like it was back to step one for a lot of things. After Manchester United, it was the first big defeat, really, and it was like, well, the new manager bounce is gone. We have to pick ourselves up and just go again. We will no longer be grinding out results. We're going to have to come at this methodically and change the whole attitude of the club because that is what's the problem right now. There's arguments to be had for the mentally weak thing. Like, I would argue that Ajax is a great example of a moment where we were not mentally weak and we kept fighting. And that's the mentality of a lot of people, but there comes a point where there's just too much, and they've been doing it for too long. And I feel like a lot of people just started to lose their mental strength at that point in the season. It just seemed like a very hard time against a really solid Manchester United side. Then we switched to the contract rebel talk. The three men, they don't mention Michel Vorm because it's Michel Vorm. But you got Chris, Toby, Yan. And it starts off with that really weird joke about dogs having two left feet that Chris tells. And it's like kind of almost indicative of like not connecting with the squad anymore on the pitch or in the dressing room or something, like needing to move on because no one laughed. Everyone was just like, why? Because they have two left feet. And then people were like, oh, okay. It's like, what was that moment? That was so funny. It's a great way to introduce Chris though, because he is a jokester and I miss his comedy. Hopefully Højbjerg has some of that Danish charm. I really enjoyed seeing Daniel Levy and Jose's frustration with Christian. They're like, what? Do you know what's happening? No. Do you know what's happening? No. And it's like, well, like, is there any way to get this guy to stay? Because Jose even references it. He can see the ability. He brings something that no one else had at the time at Tottenham Hotspur. All without that final push, though. Buying into the project is what Mourinho, I think, was getting at. He just wasn't doing that extra push, and Jose could see that, and he was getting frustrated because he's like, where's he going to go? What is his future? And no one knew. And the weird thing is, it doesn't seem like Chris's fault either. They kind of alluded it to be his agent's fault, which was weird. It's just like, it's a weird situation, and I do think Chris could have been a bit more forward about just what he wanted to do. Because he got mad that there was a lack of playing time on his part, and I mean, obviously he would have started every game if the contract situation was resolved, and he realized that. But also, he should make it very clear whether he's leaving or going, in my opinion. And leaving or staying, in my opinion. And yeah, Jose said a good thing as well. A player with 6 months on a contract gets an injury, then it's a risk when he plays. Which is alluding to he's probably not going to give his all on the pitch because he doesn't want to risk an injury and risk a big move. So it makes sense why Jose doesn't play him as much. He only played him when he really needed him, and he did really need him. And we do still need Chris, honestly. Oh, Chris, what a terrible saga. The worst thing about that is that no one came out good. Tottenham didn't come out good. Chris didn't come out good. He doesn't even start for Inter Milan. Like, that infuriates me because Christian Eriksen was one of the best playmakers in the 2010s. Like, if you look at assist records for the Premier League and even scoring records for Tottenham Hotspur, he's so good. Why? He's 27, 28 now. Why is he not even starting at Inter Milan? Okay, I'm done getting mad about Chris. I miss him, and I hope he does get into the team at Inter Milan and Conte wakes up. Anyways, the Jan moment made me feel very emotional, especially when he said, hopefully by the time that you're seeing this, I know where I'll be, and I'll be situated for the future. And I was like, Jan, I miss him. It sounds like he really did love his time at Tottenham Hotspur. It's a very humanizing thing, though. He was saying, like, I just want to know the future. I want to be able to plan for the future. I want to be able to tell my daughter that you're going to be going to school here next year. And he can't, it's just the life of a footballer. We don't get to see that a lot. We don't get to see the, like, impact it has on family sometimes, or moving, or whatever. It's just, yeah. Moving your whole life and family and everything that you knew for the past, like, how long was he here? Like, 7 years? That is ridiculous. I hope Jan is having a good time at Benfica. And then we get to the Wolves game. The Wolves game is interesting because he's like, they play with aggression. Matt Doherty plays with aggression, and it's like, he's been keeping an eye on him. He's been keeping a good eye on Matt Doherty. So that was funny. And then it shows, like, our change in mentality to aggression. Like, there were, like, a compilation of, like, 5 different people tackling Adama Traore, which is just funny because it's like, look, we're beating up this one of the best dribblers in the Premier League and whatever, and we're showing that we have aggression. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's showing a change, I guess, but it was just a bit excessive how many times Adama was tackled in that moment, but it was funny. So yeah. Oh, and there was a very poetic moment uh, at Wolves that was Christian coming on, whipping in a corner to Yan and scoring the winner. Very, very cool to see the two people who are no longer here combining for like what was really their last really big contribution. And it's a really sweet moment. And yeah, we should really appreciate the fact that they were just here and they still provided us with a victory against Wolves, who might have finished in the table above us had Yan not scored that header from Christian's corner. Crazy. And then Toby. Toby wraps his contract up, and I feel like we don't appreciate Toby enough. He's just such a solid guy, and he really does like Spurs as well. He said he sees nowhere else he can spend the rest of his career, which is really nice. So, yeah, there. And then Toby comes back into the lunchroom or the diner or whatever, and Yan almost jokes with him like, he's just getting a payday or whatever. But something that, I don't know, maybe underlying, he was like, I want a contract. It's like, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into that. But it's something we don't think about a lot. Like, what impact does someone getting a contract have on your mentality for the season? Like, okay, so they are willing to give a 30-year-old player a contract. Why not me? But maybe I'm reading too much into that. And then finally, we get to the Chelsea game. The probably, I mean, it's kind of built up to be a opportunity to reclaim the season, to already be in the top four or running for the top four, in a good position for the top four. And Harry has a good little speech like, if we just win this game, we get to Christmas on a really good high note and stuff. But it kind of feels like that almost inspired the players to already go on holiday or something. I don't know. Maybe, again, reading too much into that. But yeah, Harry's speech was good. It was really succinct. Like, we just have to make this final step and we are in a great position. But I feel like already people were already turned off. I also feel that we see the repercussions of misunderstanding of what aggression on the pitch is. This is a game that has the Son red card with Rudiger, and then also the Gazaniga flying karate kick. You wouldn't have gotten that if Jose hadn't come in and be like, you need to play with more aggression. You need to be on the pitch 9 minutes, intelligent. You know what? They weren't intelligent. That was the problem. They were stupid blanks. That was the problem with the Chelsea game. There was just so much raw and uncontained emotion. If you use your emotion to empower what you're doing and logically, attack things and harness it well, not like it's like Sith and Jedi, right? Like harnessing your emotion and using it controlled, not uncontrolled rage just for the sake of it. And I feel like that's where we went off the rails for the Chelsea game. We went a little bit Sith. And the Son moment, just the whole Son moment is so cool. Again, it's a very humanizing moment for us as fans to really sympathize with Son. It's incredible. You get to see his disbelief at the red and then the disbelief at himself. That is very important. He comes in and he was like, how is that red? How is that red? Getting really, really mad. And then he sits in the dressing room for a minute, just sits and thinks. And then he realizes that's my fault. That's that's completely on me. It's like, yes, sometimes people don't get thrown out of games for that, but I still did it, and I have to realize that I did it. But he was in a state of utter disbelief at the fact that he did that, and he felt very guilty. You can just see. I can't imagine what it would be like sitting in that dressing room while all the other people are playing on the field in this must-win game, and you're like, I caused us not to win. I am the reason we are not competitive in this game. I think, I mean, he shouldn't pin all the blame on himself. There were some other problems in the Chelsea game, but it's just a very humanizing moment from Son because you could see making that mistake, letting your emotion take control of you, and you make a mistake, and then for the first few minutes you're like, I can't believe that's the decision the ref made, and then you think about it for a second, you're like, that's completely my bad, and now I'm upset at myself for doing that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode, especially the Jan Vertonghen moments. I love Jan. I made a whole compilation video for Jan, so go watch that if you haven't already. But yeah, that wraps up this week's episode recap thing. Yeah, it was a fun time. I am really looking forward to the nitty gritty stuff next week because I feel like we kind of got illusions to what these 3 episodes will entail, and we don't really know what's ahead. I'm very excited to see Japheth's thing. I'm very excited to see the Harry Kane injury. Not excited to see that. I'm excited to see the response to that. But yeah, I'm just very, very excited for the future. Please let me know your thoughts on these 3 episodes. Let me know your questions down below. Please like the video if you enjoyed. You've been so grateful. I have been so grateful for your support on this series. It's really nice to be able to just talk about Spurs and have other people weigh in on comments and stuff. I'm really enjoying just chatting away with you guys. I don't get to do it a lot just here and where I am. I don't have any Spurs friends. So it's nice to just get it out and talk with people about because, it's all of our escapes. Anyways, I'll see you guys when there's more news. Watch my gaming videos if you're interested in that. It's pretty much just me babbling about the football world most of the time. It's not even about the gameplay. So, yeah, see you guys next week. Come on, you Spurs.